What's up, seniors? Hope you all are doing well and enjoying the really good weather we have, man. We've been on like a past week and a half of great sunny weather. Today's video, we're going to talk about fiscal policy. We're going to talk about what that means, what it looks like, how that affects you. Um, yeah, let's get into it. Let me share my screen. Yeah. Also, Pete the Fire background. Shout out Mr. Kennedy. Bless up. He made that, and I've been using it. Been using it for the couple of videos I've been making in my other classes. So I figured I'd show you. So we're in slide 50. We're talking about fiscal policy, and we're going to talk about what that means first and foremost. So fiscal policy deals with the increase and decrease in government spending. The fiscal policy is how is the United States government going to kind of create, determine its budget? How are they going to tax people? How are they going to tax businesses? What other economic means of measures are they going to do to help support the American citizens and the general well-being? And so, so there's kind of mainly two types of fiscal policies. There's expansionary, which means typically an increase in government spending, or it can mean a reduction in taxes because there's either going to be more government spending or there's going to be a cut in taxes. So it can, depending on how you use it, expansionary can mean those things, or contractionary, which means a decrease in government spending or an increase on your taxes. So contractionary is kind of taking away money, right? And expansionary is giving you money. Think of it that way. Republicans are going to be more expansionary when it comes to tax policy, but they're going to be more contractionary when it comes to government spending. So oftentimes what you'll see Republicans do, and what a lot of Republican politicians run on this platform, when people ask about what are you going to do for the economy, he's like, well, we're going to cut taxes, and then we're going to cut the government spending. Government spending has gotten out of control. We need to cut policy programs that don't benefit the majority of American people. We want to give money to the American people back in their pockets. And, they talk about all the wasteful spending that goes on in Washington. And to a point there, to an extent, some Republicans are right. There is a lot of wasteful spending that goes on in DC, but sometimes Republicans take it too far and they want to cut like Planned Parenthood and like other things that are kind of important. And so that's like the Republican like economic like model. Democrats are more, look, we're going to raise your taxes, but we're also going to increase government spending. So we're going to have more welfare programs. We're going to protect Planned Parenthood, and so on and so forth. Again, sounds great, but the problem with this is, again, Democrats take it too far to the point where oftentimes they create programs that, while sound really cool, really are kind of a waste. It really comes out to be a waste of money with how much is being spent just to like file paperwork and things like that. The cost really ramps up. And if you talk about the tens of thousands of programs at the federal government that exist, sometimes even more when Democrats are in charge, that can kind of like run up the tax bill and affects like how much you're going to get taxed and whatnot. Although oftentimes Democrats say, we need to tax the rich more. So that's another part of their policy as well. This is just a reminder. Republicans believe in less government spending and lowering taxes. Democrats believe in higher government spending and higher taxes. It's actually kind of it's funny the world we live in, because if you go back throughout history, really before Reagan, the rich were taxed a significant amount. If you're looking, for example, at a guy right there, FDR, the 94%, that was like during World War II. And I mean, the rich were really taxed. The people who make the top. I'm talking like the billionaires. When Reagan came in, he really slashed taxes. And that helped the overall American economy. And it was good for the time being. But unfortunately, it gave the uber rich way more power and way more money. And it really increased wealth inequality in this country. And because the rich got even richer, they've been able to, you know, uh, donate money to candidates or to legislation that's going to help protect them from getting taxed as high as it historically has been. So this is like a political cartoon when Obama tried to get the top tax rate to like 40%. And a lot of people are like, oh my God, socialism, they're going to tax, we're not a communist country, when historically Republican and Democrat presidents had taxed the rich way higher. So a little bit of perspective. I believe the top tax rate now, top tax rate in the US, I think it's only like 25%. Yeah, no. Okay, so it's 37%. I believe that's correct numbers. Because it all changed when Trump became president. Yeah, it's like 37%. So it's actually come down a little bit, which makes sense with Trump as president. Let's go to 52. Let's talk about the budget. The budget is how the US government spends its money in a given year. The budget has to be debated by Congress, and it starts at a very basic level, like in the small programs, the tens of thousands of programs, and they budget out what they need. Then it goes to like their committee that oversees them, then the higher committee, then it goes to Congress, and they argue and debate all these little things about what they want in, what they want out. And the budget comes out to be this huge thousands of pages of documents, and I mean it's a huge budget by the end of it, and it's a formal document that has to be printed. Talk about a waste of paper. But the budget is pretty much paid for through taxes for the most part, and the budget can change year to year. It can change from president to president. This was I used this back in 2015, the budget. I show you how Obama's budget was, and then I compare it to what Trump has done recently. Trump every year changes it. Sometimes he takes away more, he gives more, but you're going to see how it kind of changes. So in 2015, this was the budget for that year. And if you look, we spent almost $600 billion on the military. It's about 54% of our entire budget goes to the military. No other country nearly spends as much as we do on the military. And it's why we have the most powerful military in the world. You see other things. We only spend about 70 billion on education, right? So imagine if we just increased to like 80 billion. I mean, that'd be a huge increase in that part of the budget. You see like transportation's at 26.3. I mean, if you look at the pizza pie, the biggest slice is the military, and it's really not even close. And then if we look, this was Trump's first budget. This is how he kind of crafted the budget with his advisors. So he cut a lot from the EPA, which is the Environmental Protection Agency. So like clean water and whatnot. The U.S. aid, giving aid to foreign countries. He cut a lot of that. Agriculture, cut 20%. Labor, cut 20%. Health and Human Services, 17% cut. We could probably use that extra 17, 18% right about now with the crisis that is going on in our country and around the world. Commerce, which kind of deals with like the regulation of business, and Trump is very into like, let's not regulate anything. And then education got 13% cut. Okay, super crazy. And that affects us. That affects the money that Mount Eden gets. You know, it's a small drop in our bucket, but it affects us, you know. And then you see who kind of were winners in Trump's budget. The military, a 10% increase. Homeland Security, remember, Trump wants to build the wall. That's who kind of oversees that. You need that extra money to build the wall. Trump really ran on supporting the veterans. So veterans budget was increased for all like the veterans bills for like healthcare and whatnot. If we look at the 2020 US budget, and if we look, we'll probably get a pie chart. Aha. So it's about $1.3 trillion. Now we spend about 718 billion, or 57% of our budget on the military. That is about 3% increase in our overall budget. from about 5 years ago. You see like education now only makes up 5%. Um, the Veterans Affairs, which back when Obama was president, was only, where were you at? Veterans benefit was 65 billion. Now it's 93 billion. That's a huge increase for the veterans. Um, and so these type of things, when the budget is debated at the national federal level, they are going to affect you and I. And this is why it's so important that you have to go out and vote, and you have to be conscious of who you're picking for president or for Congress or for senator, because you want someone who's going to make a budget that's going to support the programs that you support, and or support maybe your right to not wanting to be as taxed as much as you think. So these are just things to consider when you go to the voting, box, and when you maybe probably mail by vote this year. You should consider these things, and think about what you want your country and your hometown and your places to look like. All right, because the budget is arguably probably one of the biggest responsibilities of our politicians and what they do to craft it. All right, so we're going to stop there. Um, Go ahead, watch this video. If you have questions, let me know, and I'll stop the share, and have a great rest of your day.